Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. This is a show where we focus on the business side of photography, the real business challenges that you face every single day. I'm your host, Jim Landers, your guide on the business side. It's my mission to uplift portrait photographers to do what they love and make a great income doing it. This is where we move through the noise of business and get to the parts that really matter. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, which reduces the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. The show's for photographers and feel they've got something to learn on the business side. If that's you, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. For Digital Pro Lab, Amanda and her amazing, wonderful team are going to make you look like heroes just by default, because that's how good they are at what they do. It's impressive the things that they're able to do, but it's because of who Amanda hires. She hires great people who love what it is they do. They love printing. They love serving photographers. That's what's going to make you look like a hero. So digitalprolab.com. If you haven't tried Digital Pro Lab yet, you don't know what you're missing, and you're going to be impressed. digitalprolab.com. And also another sponsor is Landers Photography School. That's me. I teach both the photography side and the business side. On the photography side, it's from the basics all the way up to advanced. A lot of what I do now is on the private teaching side. I still do several group classes, but most of it's on the private side. And then the business side of things, where we help photographers get to where they want to go. I mean, how many of us are struggling? just trying to make it work and been trying for a long time. We're going to be talking more about that today, but this is what I specialize in, helping you get out of struggle and get into a smoothness, a consistency that you can rely on. If that's something that you want, well, I'm here. All you got to do is reach out to me. So I encourage you to do that. And just go to landersphotoschool.com to get more information, or I'll put some information here on the screen real quick. I won't leave it up here for long though. But that address you see there, calendly.com/photo school/15min, that is my calendar. And you can put yourself on it. Get 15 minutes, just a free private session, just to talk about what it is you're experiencing right now, what you're going through, what concern you have, what you're working on, where you're headed, just whatever you want to do with that time. Just reach out to me. I thoroughly enjoy doing this, so I'm encouraging you to do that. Today, we're talking about excuses, really, ones that you feel are justifiable, but we're going to isolate just one because blaming camera gear, it's like blaming a pan when the dinner tastes bad. People often blame the wrong thing, but that choice doesn't change anything for the better. When you take control of the things that you have the power to change, instead of wasting time and energy complaining, you get positive changes. Let's say that you just watched another review video for the most recent game changing camera body, and it promises to fix every creative block you've ever had and some you didn't realize you had. You're comparing specs, you're reading dynamic range charts, you're wondering if this gear will finally make you feel like a pro. You're not alone. We've all been there, convincing ourselves that the next model, the next amazing feature is going to unlock the success you want. Man, but if gear were the secret to success, wouldn't more photographers be thriving? Because right now you're just buying new stuff and staying in a place where you're still struggling long after the high of getting a new tool wears off. Therefore, the problem isn't your camera. It might be what you expect your camera to do, though. Today's message might step on a few toes, but only the toes that are connected to those who are standing in their own way. Because I'm not bashing new gear, but I am reframing how and when it makes sense to move forward with that plan. We're going to talk about what actually builds a photography business that lasts, what clients actually notice. Hint, it's not the specs on that fantabulous lens. And why pouring thousands into new equipment might be the most expensive distraction you'll ever choose. Chapter 1. There are myths in photography that just never seem to go away. And one of those is, if I had better gear, I'd be a better photographer. Now, chances are you're going to put a different word in there: camera, lens, computer, and all those could be true. It does sound plausible. After all, professionals use top tier equipment, right? And if that's true, then there's sure then surely there's something to that. I mean, we've all heard it. Many of us have said it. If I just had that lens, or if I could just upgrade to that new camera body, that would fix everything. It probably would fix some things, but it's probably not going to fix what you want it to fix. It's not going to make the change you want it to make. It's not going to, not usually, because gear isn't what's holding most photographers back. And deep down, you know that. Are there instances where gear is the problem? Yes. Yes, of course it is. Absolutely. A camera has never forgotten, though, to follow up on an email, but most photographers have. A lens hasn't mismanaged a price list, but many photographers have unsustainable pricing. And it's never the image sensor. Um, it, the image sensor is never the thing that's uncomfortable when it's time to talk about money. That's all you. Why do we keep saying that we need this new tool? Well, it's because it's easy, it is safe, it's familiar, people can believe it, and it is exciting to get a new piece of equipment, at least for a moment. Saying, I just need a better lens feels way better than I haven't learned to sell so that I could afford to buy that lens. I haven't followed up with that client in weeks. And it certainly doesn't feel good to admit I'm not confident in the value I bring. So I'm hiding behind excuses. We don't say those kinds of things. We feel like we don't mean those kinds of things. So there's a psychological trap. I think we default to gear because it gives us an illusion of progress without the vulnerability of growth or of mistakes. You might want to read that again. By the way, some of you have a handout. That's why I said you might want to read that again. I'm going to say it again for those who don't have the handout. By the way, if you want the handout, just reach out to me, Jim at landersphotoschool.com, and tell me you want today's handout. So here's that quote again. I think we default to gear because it gives us an illusion of progress without the vulnerability of growth. Buying something feels like a win, doesn't it? There are even physical illusions of progress in the form of a tracking number, an email, a receipt. On the other hand, learning something that can be really uncomfortable. It can expose gaps. It takes time. And there's certainly no instant gratification because it's taking time. It just makes you feel like you're not good enough temporarily. But then you'll level up. But gear feels like a solution. Unfortunately, in many cases, it's just a delay. It's like when I reorganize my desk instead of writing the email I'm avoiding. I like organizing my desk. I like writing emails, but there's times when I don't want to. Maybe I'm avoiding it. I might not describe it that way. Someone else looking at what I'm doing might. Photographers, especially those starting out, when they're just beginning to charge for their work, often feel insecure about their value. And if they haven't done something to cause that to go away, they continue to have that feeling. By the way, if you've been doing this for a year or two and you're still feeling insecure about your price, you really have to reach out to me. This is a problem that is absolutely holding you back. And there's an easy solution to it. Quit whatever it is that you're doing that's causing you to be insecure about your prices. That is ridiculous. At first, yes, absolutely, you're going to feel that way. But if you're still feeling that way after a few months, so say 6 months max, guys, there's something that needs to be improved. And I can help you find that something. It's what I do every day. But within that first period, 6 months or so, it is normal. By the way, even after it subsides and you've taken care of it, or maybe you haven't taken care of it, it's just temporarily not feeling it, it's going to come back. But it comes back because of other things too, even if you have done the right things. So I discussed that with you. But instead of confronting that directly, a lot of us just throw money at the problem. We spend time reading reviews. We watch review videos like their business school. We memorize autofocus speed and frames per second, like that'll help us close a sale. We use phrases like, I'm a natural light photographer, when what we actually mean is, I haven't taken the time to learn off camera flash yet. Guys, it might feel like laziness, but that's fear. Fear with a productivity mask on. What professionals actually know is, and now please don't understand, it's not that professionals ignore gear, but they understand its place. They upgrade when it matters, and it matters when a tool limits their ability to deliver the results that they want their ideal clients to receive. Not when somebody that they've seen or know, an influencer of some sort, shares a new tool, or when everybody seems to be talking about the newest thing, because pros not chasing validation, they're chasing results. Pros are not chasing validation, they are chasing results. That's why so many full time successful photographers are still using gear from 5, 10, even 20 years ago. Not because they're nostalgic, but because it works, it supports the business. Thinking of an example, I'm not going to name names, but I know someone with $20,000 of new gear. I know because they reached out to me saying that they have yet to book a single paid session. That's not the gear. That's the person who has that gear. So we want to pivot to business thinking. I want you to think about purchasing new gear like this. Will it upgrade or increase? Will this upgrade increase my income? Or will this upgrade improve my client experience or save me time? Because if the answer is no to those questions, then it's not a business investment. Let's talk about why this myth even matters. This myth is dangerous because it's believable and it's easy to justify. It's easy to talk to someone about. And when you believe that gear is your biggest limitation, you stop looking at the areas that actually need your attention, like your pricing. You probably aren't surprised. The majority of people's price lists that I look at are probably not ideal for them. Now, I don't know whether they're ideal or not for them until I have found out a few things about them. I can't possibly know just by looking. I see people all the time. Someone will post their prices on a photographer's Facebook page or on Reddit or X. They'll post what their pricing is and say, "Is this appropriate pricing?" And people will answer that question with, "No, it's too low," or "Yeah, it's just right," or "Someone with your level of experience shouldn't have prices that high." Come on, you guys. You can't possibly, it is impossible to know what someone's price list, whether it's right or whether it's off, until you've answered a series of 4 different questions. I'm not going to go over them here, but I'm happy to go over them if you want a private lesson. Just reach out to me at that address that I showed earlier. Next, in addition to your pricing, is your communication, your ability to communicate. Now, that's not just with clients, that's the obvious one. It's also with vendors. It's also with, if you have employees, those who are part of your team. It's also about your positioning. Or if you put yourself in the right place. You've probably heard that cliche of someone who has an old car and maybe it was a watch. I think it was a watch, and they took it to the pawn shop, and the pawn shop offered them $20, and then they took it to another place that offered them a little bit more, and then they went to a place that specializes in those things, and they offered 100,000 for it because they knew its value. Are you putting yourself around the people who only want to spend $20? Guys, positioning matters. And if you don't understand that, guess what? It's something I help photographers do. Your relationship building makes a difference. Your marketing makes a difference. And your consistency in that makes a difference. None of those important variables improves with the latest and greatest gear. I need to give you a little confession. I'm going to tell you what I've learned from using an old camera and why that choice makes me more money, not less. I still use a Nikon D600. Yep. I'll give you a chance to laugh about that for a second. I bought that new 12 years ago. I actually have a much newer Nikon, mirrorless. And yet, when it's time to go to work, it's the D600 that I'm using. By the way, that mirrorless is what I'm looking at right now. That's the camera I'm using to do these live streams. So, why am I using that D600 still? It's 12 years old. There's stuff that's a whole lot better than it because it works, because it's predictable, because I know how it responds. I'm fast with it. It consistently delivers the results that I need for what I do, and I can operate it practically with my eyes closed. Although, as a photographer, that it wouldn't be the way you wanted to do it, but still, you know what I mean. I'm not resisting new gear. I am resisting, though, unnecessary distractions. Let's also talk about ROI, return on investment. An old camera, my old camera, has paid for itself many times over. Every single year I've used it, it's produced results that have supported my bottom line. It's helped me build a brand and serve my clients. It doesn't limit me. In fact, it frees me to focus on the things that actually move the business forward, like the experience I provide, the way I position my value, how I help people feel seen and confident. The kinds of things that build a profitable business. But we also need to talk about comfort versus complacency. I'm not using old gear because I'm stuck in the past. I'm using it because I'm clear on what matters. There's a difference between comfort and complacency. We know this. The D600 isn't my security blanket. It's a trusted tool that allows me to focus on people, not pixels. I'm not against new gear. I love new gear, but I don't make decisions based on FOMO. And for those of you who've wisely avoided internet marketing slang, that's fear of missing out. FOMO, fear of missing out. It's that pressure you feel when you see another photographer post their new camera and suddenly your perfectly functioning setup feels like a fossil. FOMO convinces you that if you don't act now, you'll fall behind. But fear doesn't run a small business, strategy does. This mindset applies to more than gear. I wonder if you're doing any of the following. So ask yourself this. What other areas of your business are you delaying progress in because you're chasing new instead of improving what it is you already have? Another question is, are you holding off on marketing until your portfolio is perfect? It's not going to get perfect. It isn't. You want to have imperfect action. That's the only way to get to success. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to, even when you think things are perfect, there's going to be mistakes. So therefore, act before things get to perfect. If you have waited until things get perfect, you are behind. That is the definition of behind, waiting until something gets perfect before you make your move. That's one of the bigger mistakes that we photographers, we creatives make. Are you waiting to raise your prices until you feel more ready or you're better compared to others? Come on. It's not how we base prices. Are you telling yourself you'll reach out to that potential, let's say, alliance partner once you finish redesigning your website? Have you ever delayed something because you're waiting to redesign your website? I'm guilty of it. Although you justify those thoughts, they are just examples of perfectionism, and perfectionism is the cousin of procrastination. They are related. Both of them want to believe that your next breakthrough is hiding inside some box with a brand new shiny piece of gear inside. It's not. Instead of using money that would have gone into gear, I've chosen to invest in coaching, in streamlining my systems, in creating experiences that clients remember and that has produced a stronger return than anything found in a box. And yes, I did say I invest in coaching. I've been doing this a long time. I've got a degree in photography. I've had coaches nearly the entire time. Yes, I do invest in coaching. I highly recommend it. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, I don't have enough to afford that. You also don't have enough knowledge to not afford it. It's just one of those things you do. And it's a cost at first. Yeah. But if you're applying what it is that you're learning and you're focused, it won't be a cost for very long, a month, 2. It will start being something that pays for itself, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, why did I not do this sooner?" You've probably had lots of those epiphanies over the years. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you're clicking that like button when you hear something you like. And if you haven't already, go to the comment section right now and enter in hashtag live, letting me know that you're here watching live on one of the places that we're simulcast to. We're simulcast to several places, like a handful of places on Facebook, a couple of places on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram. So, yeah, we're in several different places, live streamed simultaneously at the exact same time. So, not everybody's watching from the same place you are. And and if you have thoughts and ideas about what I'm sharing, something that you've experienced or questions, please put them in the comments section. I'm not checking the comments constantly because there's a lot of bells and whistles to the software. It's simplified software, but there's still a lot of stuff to think about. So I don't check it often, but I do check it. And afterwards, I definitely do. Let's see. I guess I should do some shout outs. Saying hi to Rob and Janice and Orlando. And I see Robert here and Tony. And let's see, Carmen is here. Jerome is here. And Robin is here. There's a ton of people who are here that I didn't mention. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go through that entire list. And not all of them are sent here. So there's some that I won't see until afterwards anyway, because some of the places aren't being brought into this. There's 4 of the places we'll simulcast to that are brought here. The rest aren't. So I won't know until after for some. Let's move on to chapter 3. Now, you might be thinking, but clients expect the latest gear, don't they? That's what a lot of photographers assume. And so they're thinking, I want new gear. My clients expect me to have new gear. So photographers assume that, but that is until they learn what clients actually care about. Clients don't ask what model camera I use. They've never asked that question. They don't check on brand specs if I were to happen to say it. They don't compare megapixels. They neither know nor care if my lens opens up to f1.2. It doesn't. You could walk into a session with a 2 decades old DSLR. And if you make the client feel confident, cared for, and beautiful, you and your client win. And isn't that what you want? Or you could show up with the most expensive, advanced mirrorless camera that you can buy. But if you're stiff, If you're stiff, if you're disorganized, or if you lack confidence, you and your client both lose. While many photographers obsess over sensor size, sharpness, and burst rates, clients care about how they feel when they are around me, how well I listened to them, how they feel during the session, how they looked in the final product. They care whether I delivered on what I promised. I want them to walk away saying, wow, that was easier than I expected. I really enjoyed that experience. And it had nothing to do with the gear. What clients want is what I call the three C's: confidence, connection, and clarity. They are hiring a guide, a creator, someone who makes them feel seen. And when that's what they get, they are likely to share you with everyone they know. You are not being hired for your gear, you're being hired for your ability to deliver with confidence. So let's understand the buyer's brain, because here's a simple truth: people don't buy what's best, they buy what feels best. Perception beats truth. That's why people book photographers with okay work, but great personalities, while other photographers with stunning images but poor communication struggle to put anything on their calendar. People want to feel safe, smart, and excited when they buy something, especially when that something is an emotional investment like portraiture is. If your marketing, or your onboarding process is confusing, by the way, you might think of onboarding as something that is in the corporate world. Guys, onboarding is what happens at the beginning of a client relationship. It doesn't matter how big the business is. Even if it's just you and the client, you're still going through an onboarding process with them. You may think it only applies to employees. Guys, no, it doesn't. It's anytime someone comes on board. If your onboarding process is confusing, your replies are slow, or your energy is uncertain at any point, it's not what's in your camera bag that they're going to be concerned about. Think about the next client you're going to book. Write down what you think it is that they are buying from you, what their dominant buying motive is. Then imagine what they'll remember about working with you 6 months after you've worked with them. And just so we're clear, it won't be your lighting ratios, it won't be your lens selection. So, therefore, pay attention to what is important. Implement those things, because it will be the way you made their kid laugh if you're a family portrait photographer. The fact that you made images of them looking truly themselves is something that they remember. The ease of your process, how professional and put together everything felt. That's the part they care about. That's the part they share. That's the part that spreads your reputation. So, therefore, that's the part that gets you booked. Guys, is this helping? Go over to the comment section and just click, or just enter yes. And if you haven't already, enter in hashtag live, letting me know that you're watching the show live right now. Now that we've cleared up what clients actually notice, let's take a closer look at what you might be missing, or worse, avoiding. Because sometimes what sounds like a gear problem is really a fear problem. Not a gear, but a fear problem. So it's not your gear, it's your fear. And the more tech you stack on top of that fear, the harder everything's going to get. Fear rarely shows up as fear. It shows up dressed in a sports coat, holding a clipboard, saying things like, I just want to be more professional. I'm not quite ready to raise my prices. I want to wait until I upgrade my gear before I promote myself. I want to finish my website, make it perfect before I start marketing. These aren't always excuses, but often they are. We're more likely to call them strategy or doing the right thing. I mean, we aren't going to call them what they actually are, stalling tactics. Their unsaid meaning is I don't feel ready. I'm afraid to be judged. If I stall, maybe I will avoid failure altogether. Buying gear feels like progress. It does. It feels that way to me too. It doesn't require vulnerability. It doesn't require selling. It doesn't require getting exposure, but it doesn't move your business forward either. Let me give you 4 ways that fear pretends to be professionalism. First is the preparation purist. I can't market my business until I have my new camera, my new website, my new logo, my new CRM, my new samples, my new persona. This purist is always building something, tweaking something, or waiting for the right moment. But that moment never comes because perfection isn't possible. It can't be the goal. As much as you may deny it, avoidance is the goal of that personality. Well, what's the problem with that? Okay. Well, we they stay in motion. They do, but it isn't progress. They're working hard. They're investing everything that they have, their blood, sweat, and tears, their time, their attention. But if you're trying to get from Austin, Texas to Dallas, Texas, if you're not on 35, or you could take 281, but instead you're on some highway that travels east to west, it doesn't matter how hard you're working, you will never reach Dallas. Number 2, this personality I'm calling the undercharging strategist. This person says things like, and they don't actually say these things, but you can picture this. I'm keeping my prices low to stay competitive. This isn't strategy, it's self doubt wearing a price tag. Clients don't buy based on your insecurity. They buy based on your perceived value. And if you price yourself like a slight step above an amateur, that's how you're going to be perceived. And that's how you're going to be treated. Is that what you want? Of course not. This next personality I call the portfolio phantom. I'm not marketing because I don't have enough work to show yet. Do you know how you get work to show? You market, you ask, you build it one session at a time. I want to let you in on a little secret. I don't remember anyone asking to see my portfolio. Now, that was in the film days. Now that it's digital and you have websites, people will go see your website on your own and you may not know it. But prior to that, I do not recall a single person ever asking to see my portfolio. I have a college degree. They harped on how important that is. And in some instances, I believe that that's true. However, I don't recall a single person ever asking me to see my portfolio. I did show it because I was proud of it, but no one ever asked. People buy from people they like. Be that person. Put your time and attention at being better, a better you. Waiting to be ready before you act is like saying, you know what, I'll join a gym as soon as I get in shape. That makes no sense. The next personality, I'm calling the equipment optimizer. Once I get that lens, I'll really start promoting. Let's call this what it is, a comfort purchase. Buying something feels like action, but if it's not tied to a client result, it's just business cosplay. Let's talk about the excuse versus the strategy, the litmus test for this. Here's how to tell the difference between a strategy and an excuse. Because a strategy moves you towards results. An excuse is an attempt to buy you some time. If the plan doesn't put you in front of clients or generate income or improve your workflow, at least within a 30-day time period, it's not a strategy, it's an avoidance pattern. Business isn't built on safety, it's built on movement towards results, imperfect movement. Again, if you've waited until it's perfect, you are causing yourself problems, your family problems, your environment problems. Stop doing that. Business is built on movement towards results. This is conversations, offers. It's trying things that might not work and learning fast when they don't so you can adjust. And yes, that feels risky because it is risky, but risk isn't the enemy. Avoidance, procrastination, inaction is the enemy. No one ever built a booked out calendar by spending all their time tweaking their About Me page like 17 times before talking to a single prospect. Your business will grow as quickly as your tolerance for imperfect action. Sure, gear is fun. Research is fun too. It's certainly tempting. Planning is comforting for those of us who enjoy planning, like me. But none of those replace doing the hard work of starting conversations, sharing your offer, improving one thing at a time. That's how progress happens. It doesn't happen in your gear bag, but in your calendar, your inbox, your results oriented choices. You enjoying this, guys? You learning something? You hearing something that you like? Well, let me know. That's what the comment section is for. That's what that like button is for. That love button is for. Click that. Let me know. And then let's talk about what's actually worth investing in. If gear isn't the magic solution, where should your time and money go to actually grow your business? The most successful photographers, some you admire, some you've never heard of, but we're talking about the ones who stay booked, profitable, energized, the ones that don't reach burnout. They're not pouring all their profits into camera bodies and lenses. They're investing in growth assets. What's a growth asset? It's something that either makes you more money, saves you time, significant time, or improves your client experience enough to do one of those first two. If it doesn't pass that test, it doesn't mean that it isn't good. It just means that it belongs on your wish list, not your growth assets list. To keep this clear and actionable, I've grouped these growth assets into three different categories. The first is support, the second is systems, and the third is strategy. Under the support category, this is the foundation that keeps you moving forward. We've got coaching, mentorship, and education. This is what I do at Landers Photography School. Someone who's already solved the problems you're facing can help you skip years of spinning your wheels. You don't need more tutorials. You need someone who speaks directly to your business model and understands what you are doing, the unique things about you. Someone who helps you raise your prices confidently because you know that's the right thing to do in order to reach your goals. Someone who helps you book more ideal clients, not just any, ideal client, someone who helps get you in the path of those who you really want to work with, who are going to benefit you in your future. And of course, stay accountable. You've probably heard this before. You can buy all the gear in the world, but if you don't know how to market, sell, and run a business, what you have is just an expensive hobby. This kind of investment doesn't feel anything like buying um, gear because there is no box that it comes in. It just feels different. The second, and we're still in the same category. So, building relationships that build your brand. Networking isn't limited to showing up at mixers. It's partnering with local businesses, supporting vendors who serve your same market, showing up consistently in your community. That's online and offline. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, and those relationships have no ability to grow when you're in isolation. When people know your name, they're much more likely to trust what it is that you're offering. And when they trust your offer, price becomes much less important. The next of the three is systems. These are the tools that save time and build trust. A clear, client focused website, a solid website is an important member of your sales team. So I'm not saying don't have one. I'm saying don't continue to tweak it all the time. Maybe put it on your calendar where once a month you make a list of all the things you want to mess with and then change it at one point. But the purpose of that website or whatever kind of online presence that you have, it tells visitors who you are without you having to be present, who you serve, what it's like to work with you, and why you're worth every dollar that someone has to invest to work with you. If your website is a gallery of pretty images and really nothing more, you're leaving money on the table. You're not attracting the ideal client. Pretty pictures help, but aren't the thing that sells sessions. It's clarity that sells sessions. Writing that communicates value, navigation that makes sense, calls to action that actually cause action, and above all, a site that's focused on the client, not the gear you use, not even you. It's focused on them. There's business tools that save you time. You don't get points for doing things the hard way. A lot of us do that. So stop manually emailing contracts. Stop guessing about scheduling. Your clients expect a seamless experience. That means you have a CRM program in your business that automates follow up. CRM, client relationship management. You have an online booking that makes scheduling easy for both you and your clients. Now, depending on the way you do business, you may use that for some parts of the business and not others. So it's a smart use of online booking. There are some business models where online booking is just the only way that they do it. There's some who do it for specific things. So you use it for how it's best for your business. Digital invoicing and payments that work without your hand holding. These aren't expenses as much as they are time leveraging tools. If it saves you time, it is a smart investment. Every hour saved is an hour you can reinvest in creating, doing the things you love, in connecting, or just recharging, taking a nap. Here's another one, backup systems. Here's one gear related investment I do recommend, and that's redundancy. A second body just in case. Ideally, it's the same as your main, but for budget purposes, it could be a used decade-old camera that's still in good condition. Have you looked at the prices of DSLRs right now? They're surprisingly low, but why would that be? It's because everyone's gravitating towards mirrorless. But those DSLRs are still fantastic. They're still amazing, and they're not old, and they probably don't have a large shutter count because People switched. How about having multiple memory cards and local storage backups or a backup system? In addition to that, cloud-based backup. I definitely recommend. I have a NAS right over here. It's got 4 terabyte hard drives in it, and that is redundant. So each one of those 4 has exactly the same information on it. So yeah, 16 is the total number of terabytes, but it's really just 4 because I am using it as a redundant thing. So if one of the hard drives were to go bad, there's still 3 that work just fine, and I just buy another one and I replace it, put it in its spot, and it starts putting that information on that new drive. It's super easy. It's something that is just it's there. I don't really even think about it. You need a repeatable workflow that protects clients' images at every stage, because the only thing worse than not having the latest gear is losing a client's images and your reputation along with them. There is tremendous value in peace of mind. And the last of the 3 is strategy. These are the actions that scale. So, under strategy, there's a handful of things I want you to think about, such as content that builds authority over time, marketing that works even while you sleep, an email list that nurtures your audience. If you feel inclined, maybe add in a blog or a video blog, a vlog. Blog is written, video blog is video, or a show like this. Strategic social media, not to impress other photographers, but to consistently show up where your clients already are. Put yourself in their path. And then, if you've built some content, repurposing that content so that it lives a little bit longer. You also want to create lead generating assets. For instance, FAQ page, pricing guide, behind the scenes posts, short videos. All that does take time. It does, but it scales. And your ideal clients will come pre-sold because they've already heard you. They've heard you say something that they needed to hear before they ever contacted you. And so that time that you spent doing those things actually comes back to you, because the clients don't come to you cold, they come to you warm or hot. They're ready to go because they already know you. They already want to work with you. The next thing under strategy is your client experience. Every touch point matters, from the first inquiry to the final delivery. Automate everywhere you can. Personalize where it counts and create wow moments that turn clients into advocates, into your secret sales force. Word of mouth starts in how you made someone feel. And you do want to have samples of your work. Digital galleries are convenient, but there's nothing like the emotional connection when a client sees and touches an actual finished print. So if you want your clients to buy prints, and not everybody has that want, but I think if you're a portraiture artist, if you are doing that and you don't know how to print, it seems kind of odd to me, because you're doing the things you are doing are the things that your client can already do. And if you can't do something more than what it is that they do, it's just a me thing. It just feels like we're doing this full time every day or part time. And if you can't do more than what a client can do themselves, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that in any way at all. I'm just saying, come on, shouldn't you, as the pro, know more? Be better at? Your know more than what it is that your client has the ability to already do? And printing, man, the way you feel when you see your photographs in print, just think about how that makes your client feel. You claim that you care about them and how they feel, and you don't know how to print? This makes no sense. If you actually care, you're gonna learn how to print because of how it makes them feel. Talk about an elevation in how someone feels. Their print of their family, of their high school senior, of a boudoir session. Oh my gosh. Don't steal that from them. Give that to them. Know more than they know. Show them what a real print looks like. And of course, I recommend the wonderful folks at Digital Pro Lab, digitalprolab.com. You heard me give a commercial about them at the beginning of this presentation. And now I'm recommending them again because, well, they're a sponsor, but also because I've worked with them. I like them. I think they are fantastic. Digitalprolab.com. You're going to be impressed. The fourth in strategy is focused time. Start writing your marketing plan if you haven't already. If you have, refine it. Refine your client experience or role playing your next pricing conversation with a friend, a spouse. Talk about it. Actually have that conversation. Use your energy where it creates income, not impulse. Your most expensive distraction isn't bad gear, it's the illusion of progress that builds nothing. These 9 investments that I just talked about in the 3 categories, that is going to build something. They build momentum, reputation, income, and that's something no firmware update can deliver. No lens, no camera bag. But there are times when you do need to upgrade. And I love all the stuff that we get to consider. But I am more pro purpose than pro that feeling. Because while gear isn't the magical solution for a better business, there are times when upgrading makes perfect sense. The difference is whether that purchase is solving a real problem or just soothing an emotional itch. There are valid reasons to upgrade gear. So let's talk about 4 examples of when and how to recognize the signs that you actually do need to buy gear. The first, you have outgrown its capabilities. If your camera physically cannot do the work that you now demand of it, that's a real limitation. Let me give some examples of that. So let's say you're consistently running into ISO or autofocus limitations at events. Or how about the file size or the dynamic range is no longer cutting it for high end print demands? Because when you're printing, it does require a higher quality than when you just have digital files. You're doing video work now, and your current body was not really designed for it. Some photographers choose to do video work, some don't. I chose not to do it. You don't have to. It's if that's the direction you want to go, maybe that's a consideration. But this is about removing things that are costing you time or limiting your results. The second is your equipment is failing to well, the equipment itself is failing, something's broken or not working well, or it's just too outdated. Things aren't able to connect to it anymore. If your gear is freezing, if it's glitching, if it's skipping frames or corrupting files, it's not about whether you want something new. It's about needing to stay in business with equipment that works. One image or failed session can damage your reputation a lot more than that old sensor ever could. An upgrade here isn't a luxury, it is a necessity. I'd say it's a responsibility. Sometimes it's not the main camera that needs replacing, it's the one in your bag, the just in case camera. If your backup is so outdated that you wouldn't feel comfortable delivering a client the work from it, well, then it's time. A backup is only as valuable as your willingness to use it in front of a paying client. Reliability is part of your reputation. Another consideration is the ROI is clear and measurable. If the new gear allows you to offer a new service, not for the sake of adding the new service, not because one person asked for it, but if that's the case, you want to raise your prices in order to cover that extra cost, or save time that you're able to reinvest into marketing or client care, and you can actually connect those dots, then it may be a smart move. But be careful not to justify a want as if it were a need. And yeah, that's easier said than done. But buying a new lens so you can shoot headshots someday doesn't count if you haven't added it to your marketing plan and you're not actively seeking it. A fourth consideration: you are ready to implement something immediately. Buying without a plan is buying a distraction. Before you buy, ask yourself, do I have a process for integrating this tool into my workflow? Will I actually use it in client work right away? Have I budgeted not just for the gear, but for the accessories and the time it will take to adopt it properly? Sometimes with new gear, it takes some getting used to. If not, that gear is going to collect dust and quietly erode your confidence. Because we're talking really about want versus need. It's okay to want gear. Everybody has that desire. That desire is part of what drew you into photography in the first place. But in business, your money has to work as hard as you do. So the next time you feel that pull to upgrade, ask yourself, is this new tool going to help move my business forward right now? That's the difference between a professional upgrade and an expensive detour. So let's reframe the role of gear. Gear is a tool to reach a solution. It's not the solution itself. Your camera is not a business strategy. It's a tool, a powerful one, but it's a tool. Gear is not a trophy. And tools only matter when they're in the hands of someone with a plan, a purpose, and a skill to use them well. A better camera won't help if your message is unclear. A sharper lens won't solve a pricing problem. Why? Because your gear doesn't create results. You do. Your gear is useful, dependable, but not something that drives the entire machine. The machine is the business, the systems, the experience, the client journey. Gear supports the solution, supports the client journey. It isn't the journey, it isn't the solution. If your business isn't growing, the answer probably isn't a new camera body. It might, however, be a new mindset, a new level of clarity, and definitely a commitment to showing up where it counts most. And yes, a lot of that is uncomfortable. When you reframe gear as a support player, not the star, but you put your energy into what actually builds results: your brand, your value, your systems, your relationships, your voice. So, yes, use great tools, invest when it makes sense. But remember, a better tool in the wrong hands just creates better distractions. And you don't need any more of those. Here's the action step for today: you're creating your own personalized plan. Here are 3 steps that you can take right now to improve your photography business. The first: audit your client journey from first contact to final delivery and maybe beyond. Write out your process. Find the friction points and improve them. Number 2, clarify your value. What makes your experience different from the photographer down the street? They're good, they take pictures, but you create beautiful, meaningful portraits that are displayed on the wall that cause your clients to cry tears of joy every time they walk past them. Again, the other guy's just taking some good pictures. Bottom line is you need to be able to say it clearly. You need to communicate what it is that you do, how you are better than the guy down the street, without talking about gear. And the third: choose one business investment, something that enhances your workflow, something that improves your client experiences, something that helps you grow your revenue and commit to it, something that improves you and your confidence, like a business coach, but something that choose one business investment. Whatever it is that you need right now, choose it and commit to it. And if you need help with that, well, reach out to me. It's what I do. I'll put my you can reach out to me via my email, put that on the screen right now. If you want today's handout, let me know. I do charge $10, just $10. That's it for the handout. So if you want today's handout, just email me, let me know that you want it, and I'll send it over to you right away. But if you want to get on my calendar, let me put that on the schedule one more time. Get a free 15-minute session. Just go to that, what you see on the screen right now. And you might want to do a screenshot because I'm not going to leave it up. Here's some closing thoughts. If buying better gear automatically built a better business, well, there'd be a lot more full-time photographers and a lot fewer frustrated ones with expensive equipment being unused. But your business doesn't grow because you upgraded your camera. It grows because you updated or upgraded yourself. You learned how to communicate your value. You learned how to move forward with intention. You focused on the direction that actually leads where you want to go because you've defined where you want to go and it's clear what you have to do to get there. Because that's what moves you forward. You will upgrade your gear someday. But the question isn't when, it's why. And your answer must be rooted in clarity, strategy, and client experience. That's professional thinking. The best investment you can make is your systems in messaging, in ways that attract the right clients, and a client journey that leads to trust and referrals, and a mindset that keeps you steady. So, no, you don't need the latest gear to get where you're going, but it does need to be part of a well thought out plan. You just need to identify your destination so you can stop second guessing your direction and start moving with purpose. And reach out to me if you need help with any of these things. That's what I do. I've got private coaching sessions. I've got a career photographer program. In fact, I'll put that on the screen real quick. If you want more information on the career photographer program, just use your cell phone. Click uh, on the camera, and when it's on the screen, a link will come up, and you just click the link. And that's how to get more information on the career. That's my flagship program. It takes a year to complete. All right, that's long enough. So I'm really grateful that you take time to grow, because that is how you get potential to reach whatever goals you may have. Now, you might not have defined them yet. It may be, I just want to get better. I just want to be happy. But you actually need to define what it is, because happy is not a destination. It's not a place you go. It's something you choose to feel as you're going along the journey. I'm thinking about things that people have said. Happy is probably one. I just want to be happy. I don't want to be rich. I just want to be happy. You and every other photographer. That's really holding you back when you say things like that, because it doesn't cause your mind to think beyond. It doesn't cause you to think it through clearly. All right. You know that we do the Portrait Profit Show every Monday at noon. Now, the second Monday of each month, I do change the time to 6:30 in the evening, and I bring on panelists, and that's because I change the time simply because it's easier for them to be at the show in the evening than it is during the day. So that's why we moved just that one day, the second Monday of each month, to 6:30 in the evening. The rest are at noon. And so let's talk about the upcoming shows. In 1 week from today, this one's gonna be fun and funny. This one is called "Even the Dog Looked at Me Funny." Sometimes you've felt off. It might have built up for a while, but other times it just pops up, and occasionally it feels like everybody knows. They probably don't, but it feels that way. Even the dog seems to notice, tilting its head, giving you the side eye. I my dog does that. The one you're seeing on the screen right now, that's Gray. He is my husky. Uh, he's a great dog. He's a husky though. Yeah, they are interesting. I recommend everybody have a husky at some point, but let's say that you're 70 plus. I'm not going to recommend that dog to you necessarily. I'm thinking this is a dog for someone who's 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. Yeah. They've got a lot of energy, but they're fantastic and they're beautiful. But we're looking at small or unexpected signals that tell us it's time to adjust, not necessarily because something's wrong, but because something's now ready for attention. So that is, and I'll put this on the screen, 1 week from today, Tuesday at noon. There it is. Even the dog looked at me funny. And that ends the month of July, and then we move into August. The first one in August is going to be Silent Post. Now, this is the one we had scheduled for 2 weeks ago, but as those of you who are in in closer to my area. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I know the people are watching throughout the world, but we changed the session a couple of weeks ago because of a tragedy that happened here in Texas, and so we moved. We had a story or a lesson about that, and so we moved this. So you might have heard this one before. We haven't done it yet. It's coming up 1 week from today. Silent posts. Why your posts are ignored, and what to do about it. Put that on the screen. If your posts are getting ignored, it's not necessarily because your content. In this episode, we're talking about how to fix what I call silent posts, those well-meaning social media posts that get little or no engagement. Whether you're posting about a limited time offer, a new studio space, mini sessions, or some personal project you're working on. This episode will make sure that your post actually gets reached. Your actual clients, your actual ideal clients are seeing this. And then we come to the second Monday of August, where we'll do a panel on how I use social media. Now, it's possible I'm going to move this particular one, but this is how it is on the schedule right now. But we're going to be talking about how photographers use social media for all the different reasons they use it for. In this conversation, working pros walk through the approaches that align with their values, their clients, and the kind of business they're building. You'll hear what they focus on, what they've changed over time, what to avoid, and how they've shaped how they've shaped their social media into a tool that is supporting their work, not taking their time and energy. Put those on your calendar. If you don't, you're very likely to forget. Thanks for spending time with me today, Lens Legends. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you will implement the parts of it that are important to you at this point. And I hope if you need help that you reach out to me. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, I'm Jim Landers, the host of the Portrait Profit Show, where we spark passion and build thriving businesses. Until next week, Lens Legends, keep creating those powerful, emotional connections that change lives, both yours and your clients. I believe in you, and I look forward to watching you grow. You are amazing. Bye for now.